be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.
What's up? What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Pull up a seat. Hope you enjoyed the content. And before we get into this video, I want to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe. Go ahead and tap that bell while you're at it so you're notified anytime I drop a brand new video, go live, or schedule a premiere. All right, y'all. So today is January 1st. Happy New Year. It is 2022, y'all. We are here. We made it. Things are absolutely rough and rocky, but we are here. So happy New Year, y'all. And I figured it was only right to start the new year off with a small seafood boil and a story time. So I have some shrimp, I got some sausages, I got boiled eggs, I got some corn on to the side, and I have a butter sauce as well. A very simple butter sauce. I'll tell you what's in it in just a second. So let's dig in. Let's dig in. Ooh, let me give y'all that first bite. Got the eggs, a lot of garlic on there. I love how simple this sauce is. Very, very simple. I know last time I had this corn, somebody was like, I ain't never seen light-skinned corn like that. I see this corn all the time. It's just a sweet corn. It's like a fresh corn that's in the produce section. So I don't know if, you know, they have it everywhere, but I always see this corn. I'm not gonna mess. It's hard not to eat corn like a savage. I don't know about y'all, but it's hard for me. So what's up, GP fam? How was y'all New Year's Eve? What did y'all do? Things was very chill over here at the Kennedy household. Very chill. We had sandwiches, chips, played games, cards, watched some movies, so that was cool. It was perfect. The thing I was doing for a few years before, you know, everything changed, me and my friends would just like rent a house, get an Airbnb. We would cook together, drink, play games. So I'm not like really big on going out for New Year's Eve. I used to when I was younger, but I would say for the last few years, 5 or 6 years, Airbnb, keep it chill. All right, so let me tell y'all what's inside this butter sauce. Butter, garlic, lemon, and the secret ingredient, jalapeno garlic pepper. This is my low sodium seasoning. That's it. So it's very, very simple. And since I just showed y'all this, it's only right too. This is the new year. I put the seasonings on sale, both of them. Cajun lemon pepper. This is a Cajun lemon pepper. And the jalapeno garlic pepper are currently on sale for $9.99. No code necessary. Normal price, the regular price is $12.99. So $9.99 is the price. No code necessary. They will be on sale until January 3rd, till Monday. So I figured that was a good way to start off the new year. So what's some things y'all want to focus on this year? I'm not gonna say goals, because whenever I say goals, I start putting time frames on myself. But things I want to focus on. What do you want to focus on? definitely want to focus on my wellness. So, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of it. And finances. I feel like those are my top 2 things. Those are my main things though. I haven't been spending a whole lot of time on social media recently. So I think something I also want to focus on is just reading more. Reading, listening to books. I really enjoy that. Like, even when I work out, I don't work out to music. I work out to audiobooks. And I don't know, it just does. It just does it for me. All right. It makes the workout go by even faster. So, and I have like probably 6 books I need to listen to. So yeah, those are things I want to focus on. What do you want to focus on this year? Let me know. And also too, you know, I've been taking time out, like learning different things. Like I've signed up for a few different classes and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying being a student. I'm enjoying like really investing my time to learn something. Y'all, my dad got this clock in here and it's set to go off every quarter. And when I first heard it, I thought somebody was in the house. So y'all hear that? So I might even cut that out. I'm not gonna cut it out, but that clock goes off every 15 minutes. So y'all probably gonna hear it again. Yeah, so I'm enjoying like being a student. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't like signed up for a full blown class like in a long time. So it's been cool. I've signed up for a few. And if anybody has missed my podcast, y'all, it is finally back. I took a 3-month break from it and it's back. So A Happy Fucking Life is back, y'all. And it's audio only now. It's just way easier to do that. You know, trying to do a YouTube video and record the audio, it's a lot. So audio only, but it's back. If anybody, you know, has missed it, you're looking for a good podcast to listen to, check me out. I will include the links below for Spotify and Apple. And yeah. I feel like this episode that I dropped today or yesterday is a good way to kick off the new year. It's a good message. So anyway, I'm about to go ahead and get into story time, y'all. This sauce is good. We are all done with the food. It is now time for story time. And if you're watching story time for the first time, y'all, this is a fiction story. This is something I came up with. I've had a couple of people say, well, that's not possible. That would never happen. Maybe not. But that's the beautiful thing about using my imagination is I can make up anything I want to. So y'all just use your imagination. You know, some of the things I say may not happen in the real world. But again, that's the beautiful thing about being able to make up a story. I can, you know, orchestrate it however I like to. All right. So as always, please be sure to share this out if you enjoy the story time, if you're entertained by it. And secondly, please be sure to watch the ads. All right. Let's go ahead and get into story time. All right. So this story is about Deja Johnson. Deja is 21 years old and she's a college student. She's actually a college athlete. She plays basketball. She is the oldest of 4 children and her parents are Janine and Don Johnson and they're still married. And, you know, happily married. And, you know, so she's in college. And I'll say a little bit about Deja is, you know, she's a basketball star. Well, she was anyways. And like, you know, junior high school, basketball was all she knew. All she did, how she spent her time. She was always playing against girls, playing against guys, playing against whoever. You would always find her on the court. And she was just really, really good. You know what I mean? Like she started getting a bunch of Division I offers. And, you know, she felt unstoppable, you know what I'm saying? And even to a point, I think that basketball might have even gotten to her head a little bit, you know? So when she got into college, she was really just humble, you know? She felt like she was going to be, you know, the starting point guard and she was going to do this and do that. And it just wasn't like that. And more than anything, it was just really about like her attitude, you know what I'm saying? Like when things don't go as planned in any team environment, you know, you still have to be a part of the team. It's okay for you to feel some kind of way, but you can't just check out. And that's what Deja does. When things don't go her way, she kind of checks out. She has an attitude. She showing up late to practice. Like, you know, that's not how a star player acts. You know what I'm saying? You still got to do what needs to get done. So, you know, even though she wasn't the starting point guard, she ruined her chances of being the starting point guard. You know what I mean? So she gets through her freshman year, gets through her sophomore year. And then, you know, finally her junior year rolls around and, you know, a couple people have transferred or are injured. So it looks like she's going to be the starting point guard, and she's finally happy to have this moment to be, you know, to be able to shine. This is all she's ever wanted. She wanted the spotlight. She wanted to show that she could run a team. She wanted to show that, you know, she can dish the ball. She can shoot. She can do all of that, right? She wanted to show her game. So she finally feels like, you know, it's time for her to come step to the big stage, right? So they probably are about, you know, 2 or 3 games into the season, and they win the games that they play. Now, on this third game, she ends up falling. She injures herself. She doesn't think much of it, but she, you know, is taken out of the game. And, you know, they, of course, get x-rays and stuff, and she ends up breaking her wrist. And the way that she broke her wrist, she might be out for the rest of the season, you know, because sometimes some breaks are really severe and it just takes a lot longer to heal. So, you know, she's out for the season. So she's devastated. She might be out for the season. And this is just devastating for her. You know, she is just like, I can't catch a break. Like, nothing is going my way. And so her best friend, Justin, you know, reaches out to her, and it's just like, you know, he understands like how hard this is for her. You know what I mean? Like, he understands like how heartbreaking this is for her. Basketball is everything for her, and it just feels like it's being ripped away from her, you know? So he wants to take her out. And because they're both in college, they go to different schools, and her basketball schedule is very tedious. They don't really get to see each other as much as, you know, they'd like to. So he's like, excuse me, look, I'm gonna be in town this weekend. I want to take you out. Like, let's go out for drinks. And so she's like, all right, fine. So they go to a bar, and he knows the bartender. So they just throwing him back. Throwing, you know, drinks back, you know, laughing, reminiscing. You know, he's telling all his tales and things that he's doing in college, how he's wilding out and this and that and, you know, whatever. Like, you know, Deja finally has a minute to kind of take her mind off of basketball, you know, and just really be herself, you know, which is something she feels like she hasn't really been able to do on her team like that. And because she's kind of felt like an outcast, but really, she's done this to herself because of her attitude. You know what I'm saying? So Justin and Deja have been at the bar for about 2 hours now, right? So, you know, they kind of stumble out a little bit, you know, they're a little bit tipsy. And the good thing is that they didn't drive, like they walked to the bar. So they're walking, you know, walking slowly, of course, because they're a little faded or whatever. And as they're walking, you know, Deja is walking, and then Justin stops. So she turns around, sees what he's doing. And he was like, hey, let's go inside. And she like, go inside? Where? He like, let's go inside. So she steps back to take a look at, you know, the place he's standing in front of. And it's a psychic place or whatever, right? And she was like, why? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, hey, I'll give you $100 to go in and get a reading. And she was like, shit, all right, bet. You know, she bought her money. So she was like, bet, that's easy. That's nothing. So they go inside, and, you know, it's kind of like creepy. It's kind of like dark. It's cold. And they don't really see anybody, right? So they're looking around, and they don't see anything or whatever. And, you know, they're kind of waiting for a second. Nobody shows up. Nobody says anything. So they're getting ready to leave. And as they are, this woman appears. And, you know, she calls out for him, and she was like, hey. And so they turn around, and she's like, you know, come have a seat. So, you know, Justin looks at her like, go. So she walks over, and she takes a seat. And, you know, the woman is like, all right, I can give you a 20-minute reading for $50. And so, you know, Deja looks up at Justin, and he was like, get it. You know, so he grabs, you know, reaches in his pocket, gets his wallet. He pulls out a $50 bill, you know, just puts it down, you know, on the table or whatever. And, you know, so Deja's getting comfortable in the seat, but she's kind of feeling a little bit nervous because she's never done anything like this before. You know what I mean? And she definitely feels like the only reason why she's going for it is because she's a little bit tipsy, right? So, you know, the woman asks for her hand, and Deja, you know, puts her hand out. And the woman is just examining her hand, right? Looking at the different lines and, you know, feeling over them and looking at the length and stuff like that, right? So she's looking at this lifeline in her hand, and she's like, you know, you're going to have a really long life. You're going to be here for a really long time, like till, you know, well into your 80s, maybe even your early 90s. And so, you know, this kind of goes to Deja's head, like, yeah, like, I know I was going to be here for a long time. Like, you know, I got a lot of work to do. I'm going to do a lot of shit in my life or whatever. I'm going to be popping. I'm going to be wealthy. And so, you know, the lady was like, hold on now. I never said that you were going to have a wealthy, rich, fulfilling life. She was like, I see a lot of misery and a lot of suffering in your life. And so Deja snatches back her hand, and she was like, look, fuck all that. Like, I didn't come in here for all that. Like, you're just being negative. Like, this psychic shit is so fake. Like, she jumps up out of the seat and she's just walking off, and Justin is going after her. And the woman stands up and shouts out to her and is like, this is why your basketball career is not working out. She was like, because your attitude, your perspective, like, you think you know it all. You don't want to be honest with yourself. You don't want anybody to tell you the truth. You're not open. Like, you just don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a chance to change your life and also your basketball career, but it starts with you. And so when she hears this, you know, of course, Deja stops, because she can't believe this woman knows that she's a basketball player. And really what she said was the truth. Everything that's going on in her basketball career, what hasn't happened, is because of her. You know what I mean? She knows that she's standing in her own way, right? So she stops at the door and she turns back around. And she comes back and she sits down. And so, you know, they continue, you know, the reading or whatever. So the woman continues to say things to Deja. Some of it is spot on. Some of it doesn't really resonate or whatever. But, you know, she's continuing to listen, right? So all of a sudden, this woman just has like this migraine out of nowhere. And it's like a piercing migraine. And she's like, oh, shit. Fuck, or whatever. And so she's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. She was like, oh, fuck. Do you know a woman that's petite? She's brown skinned. And I don't know, maybe she has like a mole, a scar on her neck, maybe a birthmark on her neck. I mean, she was like, my mom, why? What's going on? She was like, she's in trouble. And she was like, what kind of trouble? And so the lady was like, well, our 20 minutes is up. So if you can give me another $50 for another 20 minutes, I'll go into detail. And she was like, man, you full of shit. She was like, that's what I'm talking about. All this shit is fake. I shouldn't even came up in here. Deja gets up out the seat, barges out. She rushes out the door, pushes it open, goes out. And she was like, Justin, I don't even know why the fuck you brought me here. Like, ugh, like I should have never said yes and agreed to this. Like, give me my money or whatever. So she snatches the $100 out of his hand. And he's like, look, all right, like, okay, I'm sure your mom is fine. Everything she said was a bunch of bullshit, including the fact about your life, about basketball. Like, what you got going on with basketball, you'll come back and you'll be better than ever. Like, once your hand is healed, and you'll be good for your senior year. So she reaches in her pocket to call her mom. Because, I mean, of course, this woman saying that and describing her mom with her birthmark on her neck, like, you know, it stuck with her, right? So she calls her mom, and her mom picks up on the second ring. Her mom was like, hey, baby. And she was like, hey, mom, are you okay? She was like, yeah, I'm fine. She was like, what's up? She was like, nothing. I'm just calling, you know, I'll be home soon. She was like, all right, cool. So they get off of the phone, right? So they continue in the walk or whatever. And, you know, Justin is just trying to get her to snap out of it. Like, he even feels bad for suggesting that they even went to get the reading or whatever, right? Especially if it was going to turn out like that. So, you know, they keep on walking. You know, they get back to Deja's house. And Justin, you know, he's sobered up at this point, you know, and he gets in his car, goes home or whatever. So she gets inside. And, you know, like I said, she's the oldest of four. So, you know, Deja has a 12-year-old sister, 14-year-old sister, and a 17-year-old brother. So, you know, she loves being an older sibling. And the good thing about it is, even though she was the oldest, her parents never put her in a position to like have to be a parent. Like, she never really had to babysit her siblings like that, which she can appreciate. You know what I'm saying? Like, basketball was important to her. And she was just really glad that she never had to put basketball off to like take care of her siblings. You know what I mean? So she loves being an older sister. So she kind of gets home, is hanging out with her siblings, watching TV with them or whatever. Her mom is home. Their dad is kind of like in the yard or whatever. So, you know, it's a regular day at the house, right? So nighttime now comes. And so she's up in her room. She's taking a shower and listening to music, you know, just kind of unwinding or whatever, getting ready to go to bed. You know, her arm is irritated. She has a cast on. So you know how it is. If you've had a cast on, it itches underneath the cast, you know. So she grabs a wire hanger, you know, is trying to get into the cast and, you know, whatever. So she's struggling with that. But again, just in her room, spending time with herself or whatever, and, you know, just chilling or whatever. So her mom is walking down the hallway and comes up to her and hands her a stack of mail. And she was like, you know, you got some mail. And so she's kind of surprised because she has a P.O. box and she doesn't really get mail at the house like that. So her mom hands over the stack of mail and, you know, it's kind of like she puts the mail in her hand where her cast is, and her free hand, she's like flipping through the mail, right? So the first piece of mail had her name on it. And like I said, her mom has walked off at this point. She's flipping through and she notices that, I mean, this mail is not hers. Like, it's not hers. It's her mom, her dad's mail, junk mail, whatever, right? So she's continuing to just flip through the stack to see if anything belongs to her. And before she makes it to the end, there's a piece of mail with her mom's handwriting on it. And it says, your dad is trying to kill me. Meet me at the bottom of the stairs at 2:30 in the morning. And so she's like, what the fuck? Like, she grabs this piece of mail and is focusing on it. She knows for sure that this is her mom's handwriting, but she was like, huh? You know what I mean? So now she's thinking about what the psychic said. The psychic said that your mom was in trouble, right? So she's like, fuck, like my dad's trying to kill my mom. Like, of course she has so many questions, right? So now she kind of pokes her head out into the hallway to see if she sees her mom, doesn't see her mom. Cause like, she's trying to be like, you know, not trying to be weird, trying to be discreet. She's looking around for her mom, doesn't see her. And she ends up seeing her as she's getting ready to go down the stairs. And her dad is downstairs too. But her mom makes eye contact with her and is like, you know, like letting her know, like, what I wrote, I'm serious, you know. So she makes this eye contact with her mom and she goes back upstairs and goes to her room. Now, of course, it's hard for her to come down from all of this and get ready to go to bed. She's anxious. She's pacing back and forth, thinking, I mean, what if he kills her before she, you know, gets downstairs? Like, I mean, what the fuck is going on? What's his plan? How is he going to carry this out? How does my mom know this? Like, just so many things. Like, the kids are here. Like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So she's freaking out, but eventually she dozes off, but she does set an alarm. So she wakes up like at 2:05 but she's just laying in bed. She's tapping her hands on her chest. She's tapping her hands against, the side of her bed. Like, she's just really on edge, right? So finally 2:30 rolls around and she quietly, opens her door and is like tiptoeing in the hallway. Cause we all know how it could be when a house kind of settles at night, everything is loud. These creaks and the stairs and just everything is just magnified, right? So she's really walking through the hallway quietly, going down the stairs very quietly, and she sees her mom at the bottom of the stairs, right? Her mom is fully dressed and it looks like she's ready to go. She has a bag and she's ready to go. So at this point, her dad is not home. Her dad leaves around midnight. He works an overnight shift. But, they want to be quick and quiet because they also don't want to wake the kids up, right? Because they wake up, they're light sleepers or whatever. So her mom tells her very quickly, she's like, look, I'm about to go. I have to go take some money out and drive across town. She was like, and so, Deja's like, well, but mom, like, where was all this coming from? Like, what do you mean? Like, dad wants to kill you? What are you talking about? Like, how do you know? And she's like, I can't really get into all the details right now, but just know that I overheard your dad talking to the insurance company on the phone, given all these hypothetical situations and scenarios about, if I accidentally died, how would the money be paid out? Like all these different questions that just didn't make sense. He didn't know I was at home. I heard him talking. And then like 2 days later, I ended up getting an email with this file attached to it. And it was a phone conversation. Your dad was talking to some man, I guess, that he hired to kill me. This shit is supposed to happen in like 5 days. And look, I'm going to leave. I'm going to get some money. I have to go across town. I will be back tonight. My plan is to come back tonight, okay? Your dad, of course, is probably going to do everything the same. He doesn't know that I know. So I need you to just, act regular. Don't do anything different than you normally do. Like, don't change up. And if I'm not home in 48 hours, call the police. So she was like, what? Like, I'm going to call the police? If you don't come back tonight, I'm going to call the police. Don't call the police tonight. Wait for 48 hours, okay? Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. She's like, I'm telling you to just please wait for 48 hours, all right? And she's like, all right, okay. And she's like, I love you. She's like, I love you too, mom. So she watches her mom get in the car and she, sees her go out of the garage. She closes the garage door and she's just on edge. Like, her stomach is just turning and all these things that are just crossing her mind. Like, fuck, like, am I ever going to see my mom again? Like, I mean, is my dad really, really planning to do this shit? Like, okay, so, she doesn't go back to sleep. She wakes the kids up, get them, makes breakfast, get the kids situated for school, whatever, sees them off. And, now she's just thinking like, what am I supposed to do? And there's nothing for her to do, right? So her dad eventually comes home. Like I said, he works the overnight shift. He came home his regular time. He's acting like himself. He doesn't seem suspicious, nothing. Like, he's affectionate, loving, asking about his daughter. How is her arm doing? How is school going? Like everything is the same. And of course she's trying her best not to be different, but she kind of feels like she's acting a little bit different, right? So like I said, her dad, came home from his regular shift. He was being completely normal. Nighttime rolls around. Her dad goes to bed at his regular time. Kids go to bed around their regular time. And she's the one that's up, anxious, just, uneasy, on edge about everything. And this following day, her dad is not going to be working an overnight shift. He's off for like 3 days. And these are his normal days off or whatever, right? So her dad gets up at some point and, he's just doing his normal thing that he normally does. Nothing has changed. But he's like, hey, I'm about to go run some errands. He's not specific about where he's going, doesn't say when he's going to be back. She watches him drive off, to see what direction he went. But that's kind of all she knows about her dad, right? And she's at home by herself at this point. The kids are at school. And, you know, again, she's just sitting with this heaviness of possibilities of like, is she going to see her mom? So she thinks about her mom, has never stopped thinking about her this whole time, tries calling again. The phone is just now going to voicemail. And this is really just really making her anxious. Like, it's really making her feel extremely uneasy about everything, you know, because again, she has like, this was just out of left field, right? So continues trying to call her mom, hoping that she hears from her, sends her a text message, nothing, just complete silence. So the 40 hour, you know, mark rolls around, 45 hours, 48 hours arrives. Now, the interesting thing too is that she never heard from her mom. Her mom never came back, never made any kind of contact, but her dad never came back from running errands either. So now during all of this time, she's just been thinking like, yo, has what my mom said was that my dad wanted to do, has it now happened? Like, is my mom gone at this point? You know what I mean? Is my dad on the run now? Like, I have no idea, but you know, it is the 48 hour mark and she's doing exactly what her mom told her to do. She picks up the phone, calls the police, you know, tells them that her mom is missing, gives details. Of course, they send out a police officer and, you know, they're asking her all the questions. So she's giving all the information that she has, which is not a whole lot to work with. And in her mind, she's hoping that she's remembering everything her mom told her, you know, because everything was so quick, you know, before her mom rushed out the house, right? And so she gives all of this information. She says what needs to be said. And, you know, this is just something that just feels like something out of a movie. It's like, this is not supposed to happen to us. You know what I mean? And now at this point, you know, having to calm down her siblings, you know, having to contact family. So of course, like her grandmother comes over, grandfather comes over, aunties, uncles, like people that they're closest to. And everybody, you know, being emotionally supportive, you know, because she's 21 years old. Yes, she's an adult, but she's still a young adult. And this is a lot, you know what I'm saying? And her now having to go into like this guardian role of, you know, taking care of her siblings. Because, you know, there's no clue what's going to happen at this point. You know what I'm saying? So the police takes all of the details and like, we're going to investigate, look around. We're going to get search teams in place to, you know, go based off of what you told us. You said your mom was going to drive across town, but she wasn't specific where. So we're going to search, you know, different directions, do this and do that, right? So she's just at home waiting for a phone call, waiting for an update. You know, people are stirring all around the house, walking around and doing things. And she doesn't really feel anything. She just feels kind of empty. You know, she feels really depleted and sad, you know, and she hears people talking to her, but she can't really respond. And she's just kind of checked out, you know what I'm saying? Because she's really scared about what's going to happen, like the inevitable, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, the police do their thing and they're using a lot of resources. This story is on the news. Like, so much stuff is in place right now, you know, and she's constantly getting phone calls and updates. And, you know, a couple of days after this call has been made, you know, like maybe 3 days after this investigation has started and her, you know, her mom is missing, her dad didn't come back home, and she gets a phone call and she's told that like maybe 45 miles away from their house, her mom's car was found on a bridge, you know, found on a bridge. And she's like, okay, and what else? They're like, we have to investigate, but I'm letting you know that your mom's car has been found. She was not in the car, but we're going to investigate and keep you up to date, right? And, you know, her aunts and uncles are really like adamant about making sure that these updates are, you know, coming in, you know, because sometimes the police can, you know, kind of omit things, you know, kind of drag their feet and giving family updates and stuff like that. So, you know, her family is really making sure that the updates are coming in. You know, they're calling before calls are being made to them to see if anything has come in, and, you know, really staying on top of things, because you have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want anything to slip through the cracks, right? So a detective calls, you know, and gives an update like a day or two later, and, you know, tells her like in the car, you know, we found blood. We're, you know, getting everything assessed. We sent it to the lab to see if it's a match for your mother and father. We did find blood. There was definitely a tussle inside of the car. There were footprints, you know, right by the bridge. And also there's, you know, there's a handprint with blood as well. There's, you know, it looks like there was a struggle as well. And let me say this, the bridge where the car was found, there's water flowing underneath. And it's like a heavy current, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's moving very quickly, you know what I'm saying? And so they're like, we don't know what happened at this point. We're still trying to determine, you know, did your mother go over? Was she pushed over? We don't know at this point, you know? So we still have to assess and investigate everything, you know? So please bear with us. You know, again, we have to get the results from the, you know, the lab regarding the blood. And I don't know, you know, we don't know at this point, but, you know, I'll continue to give you call and give you updates. So of course this news is, you know, just sends all of them, everybody's emotional, like having to relay this information to the family, talking about it, you know, Deja's overwhelmed, you know, trying to protect her 12-year-old sister, 14-year-old sister. It's like, cause like they're young, they're kids, but they're not babies, but should they know to what extent, to what extent should they be involved in the updates about their parents, right? The 17-year-old knows what's going on, and it's just a lot, just trying to manage everything that's happening. Who to tell what, when to tell them, how to tell them, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's a rough and rocky time. You know what I'm saying? And Deja, her school is completely supportive, and the people have been bringing over food. They've been getting a ton of donations, like from the school, like alumni, all kind of stuff has been happening. People have just been showing up. The community has been very, very supportive and available to them, to whatever they need, right? And, as time goes on, it looks like they found some articles of clothing that belong to, her father, her mother. The blood belonged to her father, her mother. So in their assessment of what they believe happened is that there was some type of struggle, because there were phone calls that came in saying that there was like a domestic dispute on this bridge, matching the description of her parents. So, did possibly, Don push Janine into the water and maybe he jumped himself? I don't know. But, finding articles of clothing or people in the water or close by is not usually a good sign. Plus it was blood. And, eventually after a couple of weeks, the police they just determined, like, we presume your mother and father to be dead. That's our conclusion based on the work and the evidence that we have found. That's where we are at this point. And, hearing that news is devastating. Hearing that news, having to relay that news to your siblings, and having to realize the position that you're now in. She is now their guardian. She is now the person that has to take care of her siblings and raise them and make sure they're okay. And, she promised her mom that she would take care of her siblings, you know what I'm saying? And do the right things. So, she finds, the policy inside the house. She is the beneficiary on the policies, for both of her parents. So again, they're fine financially, and again, a ton of money is poured in from the community, alumni. People have been donating like crazy. So they have a ton of money, and it's not that, she just wants her parents back, and she just hates that something so tragic had to happen to their family. You know what I'm saying? Again, this wasn't supposed to happen to them. This is the kind of shit you see on the news or the TV. This is not something we're supposed to be experiencing. You know what I mean? And, it really just becomes too much, and she has the support of obviously their family at the time, but eventually people go back to their lives. You know what I'm saying? So people eventually leave a few weeks after, there is, a funeral is arranged. Of course, the bodies are not there because they were never recovered. And, the funeral happens and people, like I said, go back to their lives. And, the house goes into probate, like all of that kind of stuff or whatever, dealing with that. And for Deja, it's too many memories for her and her siblings. It's too much. So they get a townhouse and, they move. They're still in the same city, but they move into a townhouse to kind of start over and, get away from, everywhere you look in the house, it reminds you of their mom and dad. So just to kind of get away from that, and just trying to pick up the pieces as best as she can. You know what I'm saying? Being a 21-year-old who now basically has 3 kids she got to look after. And, time goes on. That's the thing about life. Life goes on. You know what I'm saying? These things happen that could potentially destroy you, and people still have to respond and find a way to move forward. So managing her grief, managing her siblings' grief, giving them counseling, their teachers and everybody is very understanding and patient, giving them the time that they need and stuff like that. So it's a lot of understanding, a lot of compassion, a lot of love around them. And it's just a tragic thing, so about 2 or 3 years go by, and, they celebrate their parents' birthdays every year. Deja tries to implement different traditions and just tries to be strong for her family. She really does her best. She really is doing a great job. And even with all of this tragedy and, loss, somehow, some way, Deja obviously gave up the whole basketball thing, but, she still got her degree. Like, going to school was her escape, escape from, her life and what was going on. And she felt like she owed it to herself, owed it to her mom. She's not sure how to feel about her dad, again, just not knowing exactly what happened, why it happened. And that's the thing too, like, you never understand what's going on in your parents' relationship or anybody's relationship for that matter. Somebody can always look happy on the outside looking in. Was her dad driven to maybe do something like this because of her mom, something that she did, or something she was covering up or hiding, or just so many questions still that would never be answered, right? And like I said, at this point, 2 or 3 years have gone by. And, Deja still, they're recovered and living the best life that they can at this point. Still managing their emotions and stuff like that. So one day there's a ring at the doorbell and she gets a flower arrangement. Now, it's not strange for her to get a flower arrangement. She's not currently dating anybody. You know, when everything happened, of course, she was getting flowers, cards, candy, all kind of stuff at the time, but that slowed down. So for it to be 3 years later, her to get this arrangement, she's kind of surprised, right? And she gets this arrangement and there's a card attached and she looks at it. And before she can even read the message, she recognizes the handwriting. And inside of it, it says, you know, sorry it came to this. We love you. And she just closes it and she just breaks down crying. You know, she knows immediately that, you know, this card came from her mom. Like her mom, that's her handwriting. The same handwriting that was on that envelope years ago is the same writing that's inside of this card. And, you know, she never does anything with that information. She never tells her siblings. She never tells her family. She never tells the police. She never says anything. She just holds that and keeps that to herself. That, you know, clearly her parents are still alive. You know, sorry it came to this. We love you. You know, and I mean, she can draw several conclusions, you know what I mean? But at the end of it all, Janine and Don basically wanted a way out of their life. And they put their kids through this. They put their family through this. They basically set all of this shit up together so that they could run off, start a brand new life. You know, start a brand new life. Because essentially Janine and Don were in over their head in their finances. You know, were in a ton of debt. You know, even Don had some gambling debts that he needed to settle. Like it was just a lot of shit, credit card debt, all kind of stuff that was just eating their ass up and they couldn't get ahead. And, you know, surprisingly, Janine is the one that went to Don with this idea and he was with it. You know what I mean? So when she left that night, quickly in the middle of the night, she said she had to drive across town. She drove across town to go and get their new IDs, new passports to start their new life. You know what I mean? And she wanted that 48-hour window before she called the police because they needed time to get out of the country. So they're in a whole other country. You know, they're not in the United States anymore. They're gone and just left their kids. You know, they felt like that they could leave their kids in Deja's hands and that she could figure this out and, you know, be able to pick up the pieces. She was going to be okay because of the life insurance policies. But of course, also, you know, Janine and Don had several other policies in place as well that the kids never knew about. And they went ahead and, you know, got the, you know, they had, you know, their kids listed as the beneficiaries and stuff on those policies. But again, you know, Deja never knew about these other policies that were in place. You know, Janine and Don mapped this whole fucking thing out. They took like a month and a half, 2 months to really work out all the details on how to do all of this. You know what I'm saying? Staging, everything at the bridge, you know. All right, y'all. So that's it. That is the story time. And man, the psychic was right. She said that, you know, she told Deja her mom was in trouble and her mom was in financial trouble. She was, you know, at the end of the day. And I just couldn't imagine, you know, putting myself and my family in that kind of situation. Like if we in financial trouble, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get out. It might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. But I would never consider faking my own death and running off and starting a brand new life. Like that would never cross my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I would ask for a raise, get a second job, learn new skills, go to a different industry, sell the house, downsize, go live with family, something. I would do something, you know, to put a plan in place to help get our finances in order. You know, like the youngest child was 12 years old. 12 years old and got to live the rest of your life without either one of your parents. Like, come on. That's some cold, selfish. That's selfish as hell. You know, and I couldn't, if my wife stepped to me, because like I said, this whole idea was Janine's idea, right? In the first place. If my partner came to me with that, hell no. Ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell I would be okay with that. And if you ever even thought that you felt comfortable enough to even bring that to me, maybe we shouldn't be together because we're not on the same, we don't think the same. We don't see the world the same. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's the story time, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, Happy New Year. You know, hope your new year starting off as good as it can be, y'all. You know, all we can do is just take everything one day at a time and make the best of everything that's around us. And, you know, focus on the things that we can control. All right. So let me know what you're focusing on this year. You know, what are you setting out to do and accomplish? I would love to hear that. Love to know what y'all got going on. And let me know about the story time. What you think? You know, let me know. Let me know. You just let me know whatever you think about the story time. All right. So I'll be back on Tuesday, y'all. Make the best of the day. Be good to yourself. Peace.